Welcome back to Mental Wellness Evolution. I'm Jeff. Thanks for being here. Today, we're talking about our belief systems, or in many cases, as I like to call it, our BS. So, our belief systems are very, very critical to understand, guys, because a lot of these belief systems that are existing within us are lurking beneath the surface in our subconscious mind. We will call them subconscious programs. Okay, so how a belief system is formed goes something like this. It starts off as a thought, or every belief you have actually starts as a single thought. But what happens is we start to repeat that thought. The repetition is what programs the subconscious mind. Okay, so the more times you repeat a specific thought, you start to believe that thought. Now, when we get our emotional state involved, when we start working from the emotions and we embrace that thought with those emotions, eventually that becomes a belief system within ourselves. Now, we have belief systems about just about everything in the world, okay? Now, we need to get into the habit of challenging these belief systems and looking into them, because a lot of these belief systems are going to go back to your childhood years. A lot of your deepest held belief systems, the way you see politics, religion, sex, relationships, money, everything else, a lot of these ideas were given to us by our parents, or maybe, caregivers or teachers or people that were around us during our younger years. Now, think about this though. They call this the formative years, okay? Now, I love to use the analogy of the brain being like a computer, and the subconscious mind is the programming that runs that computer, okay? And this analogy makes the word formative years, it takes on a whole new meaning when you think about it in this application. So basically what happens to us lots when we're children is whatever systems we're born into, we learn how to adapt within the confines of that system in order for us to survive. So you might have grown up in a very religious household, but you weren't a religious person, but you had to go kind of about the process of going through religion in order for you to get the love, the acceptance, and feel like you belonged within that system. The problem is that a lot of those beliefs that you got repeated and told to over and over again, you subconsciously log them into your brain and your subconscious mind. Now, this gets into your brain because all that happens is every belief system has a neural pathway in the brain, which is literally just a specific group of neurons, neurological networks. And every time we take that belief system, emotionally embrace it and repeat it, that's how it gets programmed into it. And then the belief systems are actually going to govern your behaviors in your day-to-day life. So you're actually governed subconsciously by the way you act in the world without you necessarily even believing this. Okay, so you get like a belief somewhere along the lines of, I am not good enough. This is a huge one that lots of people struggle with, and we tell ourselves this and we feel it inside of ourselves. We actually feel that shame and not good enough and not good enough. So what this does as a manifestation in your external world is, hey, there might be stuff that you want to do, but you don't actually go for it because you've already, it's almost like a self-sabotage thing, but you believe you're not good enough to do something, so you don't even try doing it. There's a job that you'd really love to, go out and get and apply for, but I'm not good enough for that job. I don't have enough skills or whatever it is. So you don't even go apply for that job. And it becomes almost a self-fulfilling prophecy in some sense, but then you tell yourself, I wouldn't have got it anyways because, well, I'm not good enough for that type of job, okay? So that's how these belief systems start to manifest in our day-to-day lives. And you see this other, like all men are pigs, or all women are this, or those type of belief systems. That's what you're going to see in the world. And then your reticular activating system of your brain starts looking for evidence of those things in the world to kind of like confirm your own internal bias about what you deeply held belief is within yourself, okay? Now, most people have not ever taken the time to really actually take a step back and look at themselves and start to look into their belief systems and start to be like, well, why in the world do I believe this? What is going on? And sometimes these things come up in your life, and you, in a cognitive way, you understand that you kind of want to go in that direction, but you've got this feeling inside of yourself that's not like how things are supposed to be. And it's kind of this weird paradoxical feeling. You're kind of like, well, what the hell is going on there? But we don't take a step back and actually take the time to actually challenge it. Because in order for us to change our belief systems, we need to gain an awareness of these belief systems. Because I said, a lot of these things are operating subconsciously. They're below our conscious awareness. They're just kind of like coming on into the background, so to speak. And then when the moment comes up that belief system gets challenged, Now all of a sudden, now the stress response and everything gets activated within you, and your brain, if you want to go in a different direction now, your brain is going to say, oh wait a minute, this is unsafe. This is uncharted territory. See, the brain and subconscious loves what's familiar. That's why we go back to the same belief systems over and over and over again, because the brain subconsciously is going to take us, and the brain, safety, familiarity is something that the brain loves. So if you're constantly doing the same thing over and over and over again, even if it's like cognitively bad for you, your brain is going to take you back towards that behavior because that's safety to the brain. This is where like mental health issues and stuff get kind of dangerous with the brain, because the brain's not here to keep you happy, guys. The brain's here to keep you alive. The brain understands the way that you've always done it. So your brain is going to take you back to the same things you've always done. But if we're like in a depressive state or something like that, where we sit and we ruminate and we do this enough times, eventually the brain starts to be like, oh, well, you find safety in doing this. It doesn't care that you were like destroyed inside of yourself and you hate the feelings and all those other things. That doesn't matter to the brain. It's familiar. It's familiar territory, okay? This is the brain and subconscious working in tandem. They love what's familiar to them, okay? It's going to take you back to the same things over and over and over again. So we need to become aware of these belief systems, guys. We need to sit down, take some time. So much of what we're going to need to do in growth is going to be found when we spend time by ourselves. This is why we have to go within ourselves. We have to sit down and actually critically think about this, really analyze our lives. Again, not ever from a state of trying to shame ourselves, judge ourselves, or anything like that. We're trying to gain an understanding of these programs, because that's what belief systems are. They are subconscious programs. But we cannot change them until we become aware of what they are, how they're operating in our lives, okay? So we take some time, sit down, journal, guys, journal. Get yourself a journal. I'm telling you, get yourself a journal. You want a journal because this is where you're going to need to use your journal. You can go back for reference when you've actually written these things down, okay? But start asking yourself, anytime something comes up in your life or somebody challenges one of your belief systems and it's very like triggering to you in a sense, ask yourself, start digging into that. Do I really believe this? Like, is this my thought process? Did I really want to accept and believe these types of things? Or is this something that was actually given to me that I wasn't really even aware that I was kind of going about doing? Because once we have an awareness of our belief systems, now we can kind of pick and choose. It's like, okay, I do believe that. You know what? That's what I do want to believe. Okay, let's keep that one. But we need to kind of weed this out. I think another great analogy I said, it's almost like having a cell phone and you've got all of these, apps running on the phone and your phone isn't working. But sometimes you got to start deleting some of the old apps to get them out so your cell phone works better. Computer, same sort of thing, guys. It's a great analogy, but it's very, very easy for people to understand in that regard, okay? So then once we have an awareness of our belief systems, well, now it's like, okay, well, what do I want to believe? Who do I, as this soul, spirit, human body conglomerate, want to believe in the world? What do I want to believe about relationships? Oh, hey, I've had some bad experiences with women, but not all women are like that. Or I've had some bad experiences, with finance, but that doesn't mean I can't make more money or I'm not worthy of a better job. Oh, that inner critic, those belief systems that I've led to believe, that was my dad. He was very hard on me when I was a kid. And I'm carrying that with me into my adult life, okay? So once you become aware of these like programs and beliefs, now we can go about, like I said, changing them. And now when those moments come up now where you start to go back to that old programming, it's going to feel uncomfortable. Be aware of that. Be aware that it's not just going to be like, oh, I choose to believe this now. Okay, well, the next time that belief gets challenged, you're gonna feel it, okay? So if you have that I'm not worthy or I'm not good enough kind of feeling and you decide, no, I don't want to believe that anymore. Well, the next time you go and you see an attractive person that you want to ask out onto a date, tell me what you feel inside of yourself, okay? But that's where you can catch yourself in the moment and move through that fear and go over there and ask that person out. And maybe they say no, okay, but you move through the fear. That's the important thing. You still showed yourself that, because people don't dictate our worth. We decide our worth. I decide what I'm worth. Even if I go ask a woman on a date and she says no, that doesn't affect my worth in any way. She didn't want to go with me. Oh, well, there's tons of other women in the world, okay? This is how we go about making those changes, guys. But we have to understand that we can only do it in the present moment too. It has to happen right now. And then understanding that when it happens in that moment, it is going to feel uncomfortable. But the only way to go to growth is to move into unfamiliar territory. But the beautiful thing about moving into unfamiliar territory is we can make that territory familiar the more times we step into it. See, the subconscious and brain is programmed through repetition. So every time you step through that fear, you start to show your brain and subconscious there's safety there, there's safety there, there's safety there, there's safety there. And eventually those old belief systems, through a process called synaptic pruning, those old neural networks will start to break up and you'll start to carry those new beliefs for you in your life. Okay, guys? So sit down and ask yourself some questions about all your belief systems across all parenting, relationships, sex, like gambling. What are your thoughts about, drinking? What are your thoughts about money? What are your thoughts about how you should live? What are your thoughts about religion? Sit down and write them out. And then, like I said, now at that point, you have them all on a piece of paper in front of you and you can go, okay, I want to cross this one out and write a new one here. This is my new belief. This is the one I have to focus on and move through the next time it comes up in my life. And you'll start weeding out all the garbage and you'll weed out all the garbage. And as you do that, your processor, as you, is going to start to function way better. The input system is going to be much better and you're going to get a much better output as a result. So start diving into those belief systems, guys. Start weeding out the BS that's holding you back in your life. Have a great day.